Hey guys, Buffaque here again. Tonight showing you a review on a firearm that's been in my family for many years now. This is my grandmother's Hi-Standard Sentinel series 22 revolver. The Hi-Standard company is not a super well-known company. They were a little bit more popular in the late 50s, early 60s. And from what I've gathered online, basically this is kind of a company that produced some not cheaply made firearms, but firearms that were a lot more affordable for the everyday working person. These firearms are by no means in the same category as, say, Colt or Smith & Wesson, Remington. You know, a lot of the more higher end companies that have produced a quality made product for so long, you know, are separate from a company like Hi-Standard. But having said that, this firearm has been in my family for many years and has held up really pretty well. Just a quick overview of kind of what this revolver is all about. I'll give you a quick look. It has been safety checked, so we're definitely empty. This is a 9-shot 22 LR with a 3-inch barrel, which I really like. It's not really a snubby and it's not really a full-length barrel. It's kind of in between. And I don't know, I just kind of like it. 3-inch barrels on 22 long rifle pistols are not something you see super often, and I think that's part of the attraction for me. But at any rate, the Sentinel, and basically, guys, I'm just reading straight off of a website here because personally, I didn't know all that much information about it myself either. But what I've gathered is the Sentinel was a 9-shot 22 caliber revolver, which contained a anodized aluminum frame and a carbon steel barrel and cylinder. You know, things like a swing out counterbore cylinder and movable square notched rear sight. You know, it has a few little, I guess, kind of bonus qualities, some things that maybe a really cheap revolver of the time wouldn't have had. But at the same time, this was still a very affordable pistol for, like I said, for basically the blue class, or I'm sorry, the blue collar class person. Diamond checkered grips, which just to look at you think, okay, you know, that's kind of nice, but unfortunately they are just plastic. Nothing really fancy. But then again, this is the first model that Hi-Standard came out with their Sentinel series, and as you can see right there, it's an R-100 series. They came out with a lot of different models, and the R-100 was the first. And the way you know that, other than the marking that says R-100, is it has the eagle right there on the Sentinel logo. Yeah, one of the first things you notice, obviously, just when looking at the firearm, are these really ugly scratches that are in the frame. And because it is that aluminum frame, there's really no way to get those out. Those have been in there for as long as this firearm's been in my family. The story behind this, the reason I thought you all might be interested about this little revolver, I know it doesn't really seem like the sort of firearm that I would maybe have in the collection, and normally you'd be right, but this firearm was purchased by my grandfather shortly after he got out of the Navy. It was purchased at a country grocery store in approximately 1957-ish. Could have been 57, could have been 58, okay? But, you know, that was a time when, yeah, you could walk into a mom-and-pop grocery store and purchase a firearm, purchase a handgun. And my grandfather paid this. He bought it used. This particular model came out in 1955. He bought this used in 1957 for $30. And again, we're talking about late 50s, not now, not going out and paying $30 for something like this in 2018. This was late 50s, and yes, used firearm, but at the same time, it was in pretty good quality, pretty good condition when he purchased it. It has seen a lot of wear over the years. This was kind of classified as my grandmother's gun shortly after my grandfather bought it. He brought it home. My grandmother shot it, decided, I like that. That feels comfortable for me. That's going to basically become mine now. And she kept it wherever in the home she decided she wanted it at the time. So, guys, a lot of you I know, we buy a firearm, we bring it home, and if we're fortunate enough not to be in hot water for buying the firearm, sometimes, the people in our lives decide that they like it so much they're just going to hang on to it for themselves, which, hey, that's how it goes. At any rate, the funny part of this is shortly after my grandmother sort of took this for her own, she was outside talking with a neighbor, and the story, if I'm remembering correctly, somehow either my grandmother or the neighbor one knew that there was a little mouse running around outside of the house. One of them had seen it. I don't remember who it was, but one of them said, hey, be aware, there's like a little mouse that's been running around out here. You might want to see if you can set a trap or something like that. Anyway, about the time they're having the conversation about this little mouse, the neighbor sees the mouse running around on the corner of the front porch and is like, oh my gosh, there it is right there. Look, there it is. My grandmother somehow had time to sneak back inside the house, pick up this little .22 revolver, came back outside. By the time she got outside, the little mouse started running down the sidewalk, the little sidewalk of their house there. And apparently, and there are witnesses to this, my family swears by this, apparently my grandmother hip shot the mouse, one shot, killed it dead, which I just think is really funny. Hitting a moving target, not easy. Hitting a small moving target like a mouse, really not easy. Hitting a small moving target like a mouse without using the sights at all, basically impossible. I mean, unless you are just like an incredible marksman or you get really lucky, I mean, that's just not going to happen, especially with a .22. But apparently she did it, and she fully admits it was nothing but luck. So just kind of an interesting story. I think it's funny to picture my little grandmother hip shooting a mouse with this little .22 revolver. Anyway, guys, just kind of a short little review on the gun. Don't really have much else for you in terms of specs. It is a 9-shot capacity, if I didn't mention that already. Just standard ejector. It does not have the spring, so after you eject the shells, just push it back down in. That's pretty much it on this one, guys. It's just it's what you see is what you get. It does have a nice smooth action. Decently secure lockup. You can hear just a little bit of wobble in there. Not much though. Not much. I'll say as far as fit and finish and lockup, and guys, don't crucify me for saying this, but I'm more impressed by this firearm than I am, say, a lot of Tauruses I've seen. Not all of them. I know some of you've probably got Tauruses that are like, hey, forget you, man. I've got a great Taurus that's reliable and well-built, and I don't doubt that. But the experiences I've had with companies just like Taurus, as an example, I'd rather go with the Hi-Standard, just myself. It is a fairly heavy gun. I don't have my scales with me, so I can't tell you an exact weight, but it's pretty darn heavy, and that's part of what makes shooting it so much fun. There's little to no recoil. 9 shots of .22 LR in a double or single action revolver. I mean, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to go plinking with or shooting bottles in the river. So anyway, hope you enjoyed it, guys. Just kind of a short little review of an interesting little firearm. Hope you've enjoyed it. Thanks.